welcome back to the Pure Whitetail Podcast. Grant and I, today in the studio, we got myself, Grant, we got producer Nate, obviously, Executive Vice President of Pure Whitetail.
Yeah.
And all our divisions.
Mm-hmm.
We got
all our crazy ideas.
And all our crazy ideas. We got my son Logan and also my son Hunter in here today too. So today we're talking about, what are we calling this episode? Judgment Day?
This is the episode I call Judgment Day.
Yep. And explain to the listeners and the viewers why we're calling this episode Judgment Day.
This is going to be a heated conversation, to put it this way, because I have experienced it personally, and I am tired of it when I see it on Facebook and see...
All social media.
All social media.
Mm-hmm.
Also putting people down for hunting with what they shot. You know, I don't care, whitetail, elk, muley...
Yeah, it don't matter the species of the animal. Yeah, I mean, if they shoot a Jake instead of a long beard, Lord have mercy if they post a pic.
Yeah. And I'm tired of it because
I don't think you're alone there. I think most people's tired of it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not trying to be mean or I love everybody in the industry, but it's kind of shame on the big guys up there in the top for making them think that you have to shoot something big.
Yeah.
Make them think that you have to shoot a 200 or
and we're not talking about all of them. Not all of them do that.
Not all of them, but
some of them definitely help.
My opinion. You've made the feeling of you have to shoot something big or kill an animal that's record animal, so you can share it on Facebook and get your likes. You know what? Yep. If you keep that up, you're going to destroy the industry,
the sport.
Yep. And you're teaching your. It pisses me off. You're teaching your kids that you have to shoot something big. You have to kill something big to be recognized and get your likes on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And it just aggravates the crap out of me.
We've been talking about this for years now. And that's where the whole premise of shoot what makes you happy come from.
Well, that shirt came from. I shot that velvet buck. 120 maybe. I don't know. Never measured him. I don't care. My first velvet deer, and this will kind of my little gig to Josh at the beginning was, I shot a velvet deer for you. That was kind of how I played. Right. I wanted a velvet deer, and he walked in. I shot him, and
the backstory to that was that I'd been trying to kill a velvet deer for like 10 years, literally
for a long time.
Yeah, and the first velvet hunt, the first time you ever went,
I shot one.
You killed a velvet buck with a bow.
With a bow, and I was tickled to death. Honestly, it could have been a spike with 6-inch, spikes or whatever spike.
Well, I will say this. We started. You really started. I guess you could say you got serious about hunting about 8 years ago.
Yeah,
that's when you got. It's when you started hunting with me, and you got serious about hunting. Mm-hmm. But all the animals that you've killed.
Prior to that?
With the exception of your bear, that small velvet buck was the most excited I'd ever seen you, and that's including your big Montana muleys that you've killed, because you've killed several big Montana muleys, or 3 or 4 big Montana muleys now, and that nothing has, with the exception of the big black Volkswagen that you shot in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and
with the exception of that was the most excited I'd ever seen you, and that is the smallest deer that I've seen you shoot. That was the most excited I'd ever seen you.
And I'll tell you right now, he's hanging on my wall. Mm-hmm. And every deer, every animal that I have hanging on my wall, only one's been measured this past year because our buddy wanted them to see what they were. They were good. They were very big muleys. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you a score, but I could tell you a memory about every animal on my wall.
Right.
And I'm more proud to be able to tell a memory and where I was at and who I was with and how it happened than say, look at this 160-inch or 180-inch deer. No, I don't care.
Right. And I think everybody's different. Obviously, we've had me and you's had different paths, obviously. I've been serious about deer hunting for 30 years, and I mean, it's never waned. That's the only thing that I've ever done, consistently was hunt deer. And our paths in life and in hunting have been totally different. So I've been doing it a long time. You've been doing it for like 8 years. And I was already at the point where, I had already been there and done that. I scored every deer. I cared about what the score was. I cared about how old the deer was. I cared about all that stuff. I scored every single deer I killed. I killed 3 or 4 bucks a year. I score every one of them. I could tell you to the tenth of the 1/8 of an inch, what each buck scored. And then it kind of clicked on me one day, and I was like, you know what? This ain't fun. This ain't fun anymore. It's too much pressure on the score. And it was probably about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. And, I'm really fortunate. We're really fortunate to travel. I've killed in the last 6 or 7 years, I've probably killed 30 some bucks. And like you said, the only one that's been scored is the Montana.
The Montana muley.
The muley, because of
our buddy wanted it because he wanted to know
what the score was. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to score. I think what me and you, and we both see eye to eye on this, there's nothing wrong if you're that guy. If that's what you're into, and you want age and you want structure.
I will stop you. But the majority of people are teaching their children, upcoming hunters, score, and teaching them size matters.
Yeah.
Where more than teaching them just to hunt, I'll give an example.
Right.
I'm gonna give you an example. My daughter's 12 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got I got actually 3 daughters. Mm-hmm. My oldest daughter is on Instagram. She understands size.
Yeah.
And I want to take her hunting. She goes, well, I just want to shoot something big. Yeah, I could get her. She's upstairs. I could get her and bring her down here, and she'd tell you that.
And that ain't going. And if anybody knows where we live at, that's not going to happen.
That ain't going to happen. Then my daughter, Addie, she don't have Instagram. I just I don't feel like she needs it, and none of the social media stuff. And she started wanting to hunt this year. Mm-hmm. And her first, I said, well, what would you like to shoot? She goes, the first thing that walks out. And right. You know how proud that makes me, because she's enjoying the hunt, enjoying the time with her dad, enjoying the time being in the woods, and I'm teaching her how to hunt.
Yeah.
More worrying about being judged by what she's going to shoot.
Right.
And, we had the Tacticam reveals up, and I'd have pictures, and I'd be showing her pictures of deer.
Yeah.
And saying, because I would point to her, I'd say, where would you shoot this deer at? And she would point in the right directions and stuff. Yeah. I said, he's angled this way. But, we're teaching.
Right,
it's like
exactly.
It's homework.
Yeah, right.
And I would show her, a spike buck to a doe to an 8-point buck to a small 10, and she didn't care.
Right.
And I love that. And that's how I,
right.
That's how I am.
Yep.
But I do believe,
You've graduated to the next stage.
I've graduated next stage. A whitetail walks in, I ain't graduated next stage.
You've shot, but on the you haven't shot a lot of big whitetails, but you have shot big muleys now. Yeah. So now you know that when you go out, what's going to make you happy is to shoot a bigger muley, and that I think that's what we're understanding is don't. My expectations, okay, it's a perfect example. My expectation, because how many times have we been in a blind together and you said, are you serious? You're passing that up? I'm going to kick your ASS if you really pass that deer up. And then he walks by. But my expectations of what makes me happy on the whitetail side and what makes you happy are totally different.
Yeah, but that's 2 different hunts. I mean, okay, we were going to walk in 5 miles and hunt this muley, and the only thing we see, is a decent-sized muley. Guess what? I'm shooting that decent-sized muley because that's a 5-mile walk in, a 5-mile walk out, quartering that deer, and everything else, the memories with that deer.
Yep.
That's plenty for me.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the big muley I shot this past year.
Right. And I think everybody understands that. I think what the way that I look at it is, I've gotten to the point that what makes me happy is a big mature deer. I don't want to put a score on it. If I look at it, it's usually instantly. If like in Kansas this year when I was out there,
I'm gonna call you out.
Okay, but when I was in Kansas this year,
as
soon as I seen the deer, I knew I wanted to shoot it because I knew it was a big, fully mature buck.
Do you have to put your binoculars on the deer to
yeah, I mean, it depends on how far it's away.
Well, if it's in 30 yards, you still not putting your binoculars on it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I want to see if it's a deer that I'm going to be happy with. Because because in my mind, because You gotta. I mean, everything's relative, right? Everything's relative. So I don't want to set down. I won't be happy if I sit down and I grab a small buck. I just won't be happy. But that's me, right? So that's why we all do this, right? We all do this for fun. We all do this to be happy. We all do this to say I accomplished something. But here's the one thing we've all got to remember: we can't push, because we're just as bad as the next guy that wants to shoot everything for score. If we try to push our agenda on them, and our opinion on them, we have to realize that it's our opinion, and what makes them happy, is shooting a 6.5-year-old, nothing smaller than 160. So we've got to realize there's both ways there.
To me, I mean, like right now, if I shot a 130-inch whitetail rest of my life, I'm fine with it. I don't care. I'm cool with that. If I was shooting 140 muleys rest of my life,
I think you'll change your mind, though.
I don't think I will.
Because you changed your mind on the muley already.
Because I've seen the muleys in Montana.
Yeah.
And we've been there, and I've seen the big ones, and I was like, okay, I've got 5 on the wall that are all about matching size. I'm ready for something a little bit bigger.
Okay, so if you shoot 5 130s, you're not going to do the same thing with whitetails?
As long as the memory comes along, that's all I care about. The memory and who it's with. Yep. That's all I care about. That's who I am. Right. If this year we go Montana and I shoot 140-inch white muley,
you won't do that.
I bet depends.
You won't.
I can't bet, so.
Daggone it. You almost had it. I almost had him.
I'm being serious.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah. I went to a special place this year.
Yeah, but you also got to remember that you can't. It's okay to graduate to that next level.
It is, and you know, I'm happy with what I shoot.
You have graduated to as a mule deer hunter.
Yes.
You've graduated to that next level. Now, both me and you have never killed a bull elk, right? No. So we're on the bottom level right now.
Well, there's a monster on the wall that I have to look at every day, and I have to back out, and I'm like, "Daggone, what no?"
Well, that ain't yours.
I know. I have to accept that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, just for like bull elk, for instance, we're both on the bottom tier, right? Neither one of us has killed a bull elk, so we're on the bottom tier. So if a 280-inch elk walks in, we're going to shoot it. But the guy that's been hunting bull elk for 30 years, he's not. You know, he's not, because he's probably shot 10 or 12 of them, bigger than that.
I will agree with you that. Okay.
You graduate. You have graduated in the mule deer category. You've already graduated to that next level. You already, just like this year, you said, I don't want nothing. I'm not going to shoot. I'm not going to, here's what you said. I'm not going to be happy with anything under in the 160 class, I guess you could say, in that type of deer. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. You know, it's okay to graduate. I think what we're trying to say is, if you're a first-time hunter,
it's okay.
It's okay to shoot a small animal. And
it's okay, first-time hunter, it's okay for the next 5 years to shoot small animals, or 10 years.
Right.
Whatever trips your trigger, it's fine.
Right.
And until you feel like, okay, I'm ready to go on.
Right. Until you say, I'm ready to wait.
I'm ready to wait.
Yeah.
But it's not okay for these guys that have graduated, if you want to put it in that terms.
And trying to...
And then they down the person that hasn't graduated, saying, why are you shooting that? I can remember, why don't you let it grow?
Right.
I remember that my velvet deer, these people saying that to me. You know what, guys?
That sucks, yeah.
If I could give a hand gesture, you know what you would get right now, because I'm having fun, and you keep bad-mouthing people, keep destroying the hunting industry that we're trying to create.
Yeah, and that's way worse than the antis, is when another hunter downs another hunter for what he shoots, because first, you had never shot a velvet buck.
No.
You hadn't killed very many whitetails at all, and then you like I said, you were more happy shooting that velvet than you were of shooting the big muleys that you shot in Montana.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And you almost fell out of the boat that time too.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of it was bragging rights, because me and you have big competition together.
Oh yeah.
We love each other. We care about each other. Right. But there's a lot of competition with
there's a lot of competition. Yeah.
And when I could say I had a velvet deer before Josh Martin, You know what? Hey,
right. Yeah, I know.
I could have probably walked across that river.
Yeah, I do have the biggest velvet buck now, though.
It don't matter.
No, but see, that's what it's all about. But as long as you're having fun, I think the biggest thing is that really, really trips my trigger, just like you said, is buck shaming other people or animal shaming. You know, like I see it all the time in turkey season. Why in the world would you shoot a Jake? Well, because they freaking taste good. That's why, you know, or whatever, you know. I mean, if somebody is not at that level, you know, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. They paid, Jake. Right. They paid for their tag, right? Yeah. They paid for their tag. They work for the money to buy their tag. It's their name is on that tag. So I think that's what really gets me is when somebody else downs somebody else for shooting that certain animal. You know, like I have no problem if you're the type of guy that, you know, we've got friends that very, very, very good friends that we know they ain't shooting nothing under 170. Mm-hmm. And it's all relative, right? Because that individual owns literally probably the best whitetail farm in the world. Okay, so he ain't shooting nothing under 170, and he shouldn't, you know. But look how many he's killed to get there. You know,
he's there day in, day out.
Day in and day out, right? But also, I will say this: look how many he's let walk. We've seen the videos of 170s walking right by his stand, but that particular person enjoys every single second of it.
He likes filming them.
And he just likes filming them walk by. And I'm talking with the little, and for those, we don't mean with a professional camera. I'm talking about with a little handy cam. But he just enjoys being out there. I mean, he's doing it because he loves it, right?
So, not directing towards him, what's he teaching the youth?
Well, but when somebody hunts, but when somebody else comes in, he doesn't put any limit for him personally. He doesn't put any limitations on. He has graduated. It's okay to graduate, you know. But you never see him or somebody like him downing somebody else for shooting a small buck. I think that's what we got to. I think that's what we've got to portray to the viewer and the listener is we. Like me personally, I can't speak for Grant, but I will say me personally, I have no problem if you want to continually pass small deer. You know, that's fine. And some people never graduate. Some people don't want to graduate. The rack literally means nothing to them. And some people don't want to graduate to that next level, and they just want the meat or need the meat, and they just want to kill something because they like it, right? Yep. They're going to shoot the first thing that walks in, no matter what, happy. And they're completely happy.
And they're tickled to death.
Yeah, and that's where we come up with shoot what makes you happy, not what you know. And the thing that
but when they shoot that, the social media downs them for shooting that, and they're embarrassed of it. Then they're like, where's the hunting part coming?
Right, involved? And you know what?
And there's tradition comes involved.
Right,
and the memory comes involved when people start downing for the guy that doesn't want to graduate.
And that's horrible because I feel bad for the guy that shoots let's say a small 6-pointer, posts it on social media, and says he ain't the biggest, but I'm happy with him.
You know what?
I can't stand that.
Stop saying that.
Yeah, I know.
Stop saying that.
Just say, man, I got me a 6-pointer today, and I'm tickled to death.
I'm tickled. Stop saying. Don't apologize. Don't apologize for nothing, guys or girls. Stop apologizing for it.
Yep.
Be happy about it. Remember the memory. And if you decide to European mount him, or full body mount him, have the memory.
Right. And the buck shamers, it's all the same type of people. It's the same type of people that are haters. It's the same that's the same people that are buck shamers. It's the same personality. You know, no matter what, they're never happy with anybody.
No.
You know, them people have got to be miserable with themselves. You know, they're never happy with anything. And, you know, just like you said, it's all about the memory, you know, and that is what it's all about. And if it's what makes you happy, that should be all that matters. And like I said, the person who buck shames and then in return, we've created, just like you said, the social media, we've created this social media, the hunting side of social media has 100% created somebody that shoots quote unquote an inferior animal that ain't huge has to apologize right off the bat.
That's terrible.
And that's terrible.
Let me tell you, I got a little story. 8 years ago, I started hunting with you, and I started learning a lot more about hunting. Prior to that 8 years, I hunted with my buddy. At 19 years old, I finally got my first cell phone. And cell phones have been out. I never had Facebook until I got married, and I got Facebook because...
My first cell phone was in a bag.
Yeah. My ex-wife wanted me to get Facebook and all that. But me and my buddy, we hunted because we enjoyed it, and we loved it.
Right.
And it didn't matter what we shot. We were killing things, and we were putting it in the freezer, and we were having fun doing it.
Right.
And it didn't matter.
And that's all that matters. Right.
And that should be all that matters.
Right.
Because,
just like you said, social media. Social media has been a great thing for hunters. It's introduced a lot of hunters to each other. Yeah, I think it's brought the community closer in a way, and
it's made brothers, and sisters.
It has, and it's brought the community closer, but it's also tore it apart too in another way. You keep
downing each other,
right?
And you're just making it worse for us to keep growing this and getting young people into hunting,
right?
Because that young person this is how I feel. That young person gonna look on Facebook and see all these bad negative comments to that guy that shot that younger deer, smaller deer, whatever you want to say, and that kid's gonna look at that and he could be like, "Well, I'll never be able to beat that.
Right.
Why do I want to try?
Right.
To go out and hunt and try to get something big?
Yeah, and why
are you gonna make it impossible almost?
Right. Yeah, and to some, it literally is impossible because like I said earlier, it's all relative because you have the guy that lives in southern Iowa and the guy that lives in New Jersey are not hunting the same caliber of deer. We're talking about two totally different animals. Two totally different.
The farm I had this year, put it this way, the farm I had this year, I mean, we don't talk about inches, but we do. We say, okay, me and Josh will say, right, this big deer.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. We're not saying that. Yeah.
The biggest deer walked on my farm was 130 inches, and I just shot him. Don't get me wrong, but that's all I've got.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I had a bunch of, I don't know what the genetics are going on. And
boy, they are freaky over there.
They are freaky.
They're terrible.
They're one-sided rack bucks.
To take out the bad genetics on the farm that Grant has, he'd have to kill every buck on there.
You have a good-looking rack on one side in the picture, and the deer turns around, and they got a 12-inch spike.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but what? You shoot one.
Right. And that's what I mean by all relative. Like our buddy in southern Iowa, he's got the best whitetail farm in the country.
Yes.
So it's all relative. You wouldn't shoot out there what you would shoot here.
No.
Yeah, at your farm. Yeah.
You shared a picture and said, "Eldon, this is what you shoot next year."
Right.
And I'm like, "Holy cow!" That to me,
right.
That's a world record in my heart.
Yeah, right.
Even though it's a world record, it's a world record in my heart.
Right. It's a buck of a lifetime.
Buck of a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's a year away, but
he's got a lot of buck of a lifetimes for you out there, don't he?
Yeah. I mean, Josh makes fun of me.
Yeah.
But you guys pick on me about
it. But we pick on you because you get so excited, and see, that's what it is. That's where we can all be different. Like I feel like you're at your whitetail levels here. I'm far in size. Here I'm here, and then our buddy out there, he's at a whole nother level.
Oh yeah,
because he's passing up deer that me and you. I mean, I don't even think in my lifetime that no matter how many I kill, that I would pass up.
No.
But it's all relative, and you're having fun. That's what it's all about. Like last year, the deer you shot out there was 130 to 135 inches.
He's on the wall.
8-pointer, and boy, was we excited because you missed the night before.
Yeah,
and then
I could tell you the memories. I missed on Heartbreak Ridge.
Oh Lord,
I was tore up.
I missed on Heartbreak Ridge this year too.
And that's not your first time missing there, was it?
No, it's not my first time missing there.
3 years ago, you missed on Heartbreak.
No,
you shot that tree. And
no, that was 4 years ago, and that was a 17-pointer. That was that was a buck of a lifetime.
And a year later, Josh takes me there and goes, "This is where I shot the tree," and it still has the hole in it.
It still has the bullet, the muzzleloader bullet in the tree.
I'm like,
and we sat down right beside it.
Yeah.
And then, that's why we call it Heartbreak Ridge.
But see, we make memories.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Just like that night, I mean, I can visually remember, it's been 2 years now, is that right?
Oh,
well, 1 solid year.
Oh, when you were yelling at me in the...
No.
Oh.
When I shot mine.
Oh, yeah, it's been 1 year.
1 year. I can remember that deer walking out.
Oh, yeah.
And taking his time all the way across.
Well, and going back to that, before that, you had said because you had missed a close shot on a big, because you got excited. It was a big deer. It could have been that deer, actually.
I get tore up.
Yeah, right. And that's what makes it fun. You get tore up even on small deer, and that's why I love hunting with you, because it's freaking fun, But you said, I need a deer to come out and stop right there so I can be confident and shoot it. And by God, what happened a couple hours later?
Good Lord blessed me and said, Grant, I'm going to put that deer out there for you, and there he came.
That buck came out, and I promise you, everybody, that deer came out and walked right to the spot and stopped broadside, and Grant shot it right there in that spot.
I mean, even with, like this year with you, deer start coming out, what do I start doing in the blind?
You start... You start dancing in that blind. You're like, whoa, man, come on now, man, that's a good one, Josh. You need to shoot.
I mean, I start dancing around. I can't help it.
Right.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, really, whitetail.
Yeah, you tried to get me to shoot on the first night. Remember?
Hey, hold on. Back me up just a little bit. First night we're walking in, and we see deer in the distance, and I glass him.
He's a good deer.
Because I have my binder's on my chest, and you got yours in your backpack. You make fun of my purse. I have mine on my chest.
Yeah.
And you make fun of me still. And guess who had to borrow mine? Because I said, Josh, that ain't deer you want to shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, when Grant said that, I'm like, really? It's really a deer that you don't want me to shoot? And because, like, I promise you, everybody, he never says that. I think that's the first time you've ever said that.
I think that's the first time.
And I was like, boy, you better let me have a binocular or something's wrong. And I didn't want to shoot it.
He was tall. I mean, you guys on camera can see it. I mean, he was tall.
Really tall but narrow.
I mean, he was still inside his ears. And to me, I judge
young deer.
Yeah, young deer. You judge him by that. But,
And but like I said, everything's relative to where you're hunting at. I mean, it's all relative to where you're hunting, how long you've been hunting. But like I said, some people never graduate to that next level, and that's perfectly fine. That's awesome.
Don't down them.
Yeah, just don't down people for not graduating to that next level.
Awesome, and congratulations to them, and move on.
Right.
And keep your comments to yourself. How about that?
Yeah. Right.
So that person keeps on. Then that person, but more than downing him.
Yep.
And he might throw his bow away.
Hey,
and be done hunting.
Right.
Because he's tired of trying. He's tired of taking all the
heat.
All the heat.
Yeah. Because it affected you. It affected you a few years back when it's been like 3 years now.
I will say thank you for the staff, because the staff backed me on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
down for your velvet buck.
On velvet buck, and guess what? I will say the war dogs came out and ate him alive.
They did, yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah, right.
Because anytime somebody Pure Whitetail field staff post on their personal page, and I see people. You tag me and I'll come help you. I can promise you that.
Right.
Because I don't put up with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way.
There's nothing worse to me than buck shaming, and it's we all, each individual person has their own feeling and thoughts about what they want to shoot, what's going to make them happy, whether it's our buddy in Iowa that it's big uns or nothing, which is perfectly 100% fine, or it's that guy, it's that 50-year-old guy that shot 100 deer and still shooting 4-pointers.
Hey, I bet that guy says that backstrap still stays the same.
That's right. And
that's what he cares about.
Yep.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, and memory.
You're in the woods hunting together.
Right.
Or hunting. You're making memory. I shouldn't say together, because you're by yourself sometimes a lot.
Right.
I'm just. You're pretty much.
Yeah.
Joined at the hip when we go hunting.
Right.
I have to hold your hand and drag your deer and do everything else.
Except this year in Iowa, I believe somebody went on a spa vacation for like 4 days this year and was like, oh well, there's only room for one person that blind. I'll just sleep in.
Well, me and the old dog got really close together.
I'm telling you, you did.
And he played me.
He did play you, yeah.
Every 15 minutes, he wanted to go outside for some reason.
He'd come over to Grant and go, roof, roof, roof.
I'd get up out of my chair and go let him out. Yeah. I did have a spa vacation.
You did. What'd you go? Did you go hunting twice?
Twice.
You went 2 sets.
2 sets. I mean, but, whatever.
So do I get to do that next year?
Nope. Because you got to help me judge. And so, I will say, because where we hunt in Iowa.
Yeah. We're on somebody else's property.
Somebody else's property.
That's intensely managed.
And I do not want to shoot something that would upset the landowner.
Right.
And
he wouldn't get upset.
Not upset,
but not up to that doesn't go along with his management practices.
Yes.
And I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and don't think that we like the managers and we don't like to kill big deer, because I can tell you right now, I'm not going to shoot something smaller no matter what. I mean, Grant knows that I'm more than willing to go home empty-handed before I shoot a small, just because I that's just what makes me happy. I will be happy with,
and I don't down you on that.
Right. And I don't down you for, if you want to shoot a small one, I'm like, whatever makes you happy, bro. I'm sitting here beside you. I got the button recording. Kill them if you want them.
But you guys do hold my bullets and arrows sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we do hold your bullets.
I mean, I ain't ashamed. The year you shot your velvet in Montana, that morning before, a few moments before, me and Terry were hunting together in the blind.
Yeah.
And before Terry could get the camera turned on, I had the bow pulled back and gone the arrow went.
That's right.
And I shoulder shot the deer.
Yeah.
That was
a good deer too.
Thank goodness he came back. 3 weeks later, I front shot shoulder him, and
and he was fine.
He was fine. We tracked him, but a few weeks later he came back right back to in front of the camera again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I mean, hey, there is no patience when it comes to me.
No, Lord, no, man. No, it's just like, man, because I even called your bluff this year when we were on our way to Montana. It was me, you, and Logan in the truck, and you said, you know what? I ain't shooting nothing less than a 160, and I mean, I almost wrecked the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, come on, bro, come on. And you were like, no, I'm dead serious. I ain't shooting nothing less than 160. I want a big muley. And I'm like, all right, you graduated to that next stage. And by God, you stuck to your guns. It was hard, though, wasn't it?
It was hard.
And,
a lot of deep breaths.
Yeah,
a lot of,
because you told me and Terry, you go, don't let me shoot nothing under 160. You know, and there's nothing wrong with graduating to that next. It's just imposing your beliefs on others. We're not trying to impose our belief. We're just having a conversation, telling you how we feel. We're not trying to impose our beliefs on others, but we do believe that the first-time hunters and they shouldn't have to feel just like Riley, she shouldn't have to feel that she has to kill a big deer to be accepted as a hunter.
Yeah.
It's not that way. You know, like Hunter and Logan sitting right here. Their first deer, both their first deer were yearling deer. Mm-hmm. A hunter killed a button buck, Logan killed a doe, and they were both yearling deer. And they could not have been happier if they would have shot a 200-incher.
Yeah.
They really couldn't have been happier.
Well, about this year, both of them on their own.
Yep, on
100% on their own, and they both had bow kills on their own this year, without Dad, without me, without their grandpa.
Yep.
And they did it on their own.
Right.
And I will tell the truth too. I didn't even count the points on my deer till we took the picture and I posted it on Facebook. I didn't even look at it. I didn't care. It was he broke off his one side. He was a 4x4.
Right.
And he got his butt whooped.
Yeah, Hunter. That's Hunter talking. Hunter shot a buck in North Dakota this year, and it didn't even it broke off at the main beam, and he called me and he was freaking fired up about doing it. And the most important, that right there is a perfect example. People do it for different reasons. Hunter wanted to do it just to say that I done it myself, right? I done it on my own, not to go out and kill the biggest buck on the farm or the biggest buck on the ranch. It was, I want to kill a buck to say I done it on my own. And the same with Logan.
I mean, Logan called me off your phone that night, and I was like, usually when my phone rings and it says Josh Martin on it, it's
come help me drag.
It's you. It was Logan. He was so fired up to found his deer and everything else in the world, and I'm like, oh, daggone, he's pumped
Right.
up.
Logan, did you care about how big your deer was this year?
No, I didn't, because I was sitting in the rain for 3 days.
That's right. So Logan's sitting in the rain for 3 days.
There's a memory.
Yeah, there's a memory. And he done it in himself, right? He done it himself. And I will say this, and the memory that I'll always remember, I will never, like, as the years go by, I will forget what that rack looks like. But I mean, I'll know because I'll see the rack. But if the rack wasn't on the wall, I would forget what the rack looks like, but I will always remember when Logan calls and say, I just shot a buck. I just shot an 8-point. And what the number one thing that will stick out in my mind is me, Logan, Hunter, Gracie, and Heather all tracking that buck together and finding it together as a family. That's what it's all about.
100%.
You know, 100%. You know,
that.
And you know, I'm nobody special, but they're my sons, so they could easily get caught up in, I need to kill a big deer.
Yeah.
They could easily get caught up in that, and I thank the good Lord all the time that they're not caught up in that. You know, like when I took, and Gracie's the same way, and well, maybe I should say they're Heather's sons, not me, because their mom has the world record whitetail. And, you know, I've been very fortunate enough to kill a lot of big deer, and and that tells me, in the way that they are, Gracie's the same way. When we went to Kansas at Richard and Maggie Frisbee's, our good friends in Kansas, Gracie, when the buck walked in, it wasn't a giant, 125-inch, 130-inch buck. She did not care that it wasn't the biggest buck. She was ready to kill something, right? Then that tells me I done a good job instilling that it doesn't shoot what makes you happy, right? Shoot what makes you happy and what you're going to be happy with, and your experience. You know, I'll always remember finding Gracie's deer with Richard, right? And how happy Gracie was. I'll always remember the first deer that Logan and Hunter shot when they were, I believe, 8 years old, and they were 8 years old, and they used a Magnum muzzleloader with 150 grains of powder at 8. So, I mean, that knocked the fire out of them. And that was before they had big ground blinds, and it was me, Hunter, Logan, and my dad. And you talk about a tight fit in a little ground blind, there was 4 of us in there. And it was awesome. But, you know, that's the things that you remember, right? That just what you were talking about earlier, it's the memories made, not the size of the deer. And that's a perfect example. My 3 kids could easily be, you know, like, I ain't shooting nothing but a big deer. Yeah. But they don't care, right? Hunter shot a half rack. Logan shot a buck, that 100-inch buck, you know, but they both did it on their own. Yeah. You know, that's what matters.
That's all that matters. I mean, I'll never down them for anything they ever shot.
No. Or ever will shoot.
And the farm that Logan shot on,
got some giants on it.
Got giants. I mean, monster deer, and he could have held out and waited. And
might not have killed nothing.
But he was happy for what he shot.
Right.
And was thrilled to death.
Yep.
And that's all that matters.
Yep. I mean, happy. I mean, like, over the top. And that's what it should all be about.
Yeah, because I was on the phone with you, because I texted you.
Yep.
And I was in a stand that me and Hunter cut and cleared and everything.
Right, you guys did it 100% by yourself.
And I remember texting him, because I seen him across the field. Or texting you and saying he went the other way.
Yeah, you said you had a big deer coming.
I said I had a deer. I was like, I couldn't tell how big he was.
Yeah.
But I know, and he already knew that he was going to come around behind me.
Yep. Right.
And he came around behind me because Dad was hunting that night as well. Mm-hmm. And he came around, and I texted him. I said, I got him. He said, did you? I was like, yeah, he's dead. I know he's dead because he hit a fence.
Yeah.
And Lord have mercy.
Then we went over there and he wasn't by that fence. We were nervous, and then we backed out. And luckily, like everything else for a reason, then we went and got your brother and your mom and your sister, and we all went over there. But that's what it's all about. You know, that's what it's about. It's more about, if everybody could concentrate on the memories instead of the score. And like we're saying, we're not downing anybody for the score.
No.
But it's all relative to where you're at, you know.
You've not downing anybody about the score, but you've made this social media aspect, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
Of you have to kill a big deer.
Right.
And you don't. Mm-hmm. You don't. I don't care if it's a button buck, a doe, a spike, a 4-point, to 8 to a 20-point.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. Who cares? Yeah. Right.
I mean,
and
at the end of the day, what's the memory of that deer? Just like Logan said, that him and Hunter went and cleared that out. Him and Hunter did this.
That's what he remembers.
That's what he remembers.
Right. He could care less how big the deer was. Right.
And all God's honest truth right now, I can't remember the size of the deer, but I remember that next morning I got to take the pictures with you guys.
Right.
I got to, you two sit behind the deer, Logan sit behind the deer, and I got to do the pictures. Right. I remember that part because that's the part I get to remember.
Right.
What about, just to kind of, how about when we had that lease out in Preble County and Terry shot that one buck? Wasn't a big buck.
No.
But
we're talking about a guy that's literally shot hundreds
of deer.
And he was tickled to death.
I remember tracking that deer that night and going to get it middle of the night, getting pictures middle of the night. That's when I still looked like a little kid.
Yeah, you did look little.
And we were both still at the mill.
Yeah, I looked young too.
You were young.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was like 8 or 9. That might have been like 9 years ago, I think.
Yeah, when we started really kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And
he was tickled to death. He is literally. We're talking about a guy, Terry. We're talking about a guy that shot a lot of
you
big
walk
deer.
in his barn, it's loaded.
I mean, we're talking a lot of big deer, and he was tickled to death to shoot a 80-inch buck because he had hunted hard all week.
And the way he shot that deer,
I still don't know how he made the shot.
I still don't know how he made the shot.
But it's all about memories, and I do have a little story I want to tell. So you guys have heard us talk about Iowa, and our buddy out there. Here's my Iowa buck from this year. It's a stud, a buck of a lifetime for almost everybody.
Oh no, that ain't no.
Why'd you shoot that for?
Why'd you shoot that for?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So
that's an awesome deer.
Yeah.
I mean, daggone.
Yeah, 160 class deer. 21 inches inside if we're doing score stuff. But I put that on the table for a reason, and I want to grab something else here. I want to grab this little guy. So I want to tell you the story about this guy and why.
I mean, hold on before you start.
It is broke. It is broke. So be careful.
Okay. Before you start telling a story.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I mean, so if the guy's on the camera, for the YouTube, you guys want to see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And see the view of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the difference.
So that's the difference. I mean, he fits inside the browse.
Right. So that's what we were talking about graduating to the next thing. But I want to tell you.
That says 11/7/2010, right?
No, 2001.
Oh, 2001.
2001.
Yep, 2001.
Yeah. So that was over 19 years ago.
I was a freshman.
Yeah. Oh boy, that was over 19 years ago that I shot this. I shot this buck with my bow. And now this is a caliber deer we're shooting now, but that's because I've graduated to that. So I've been bow hunting for 30 some years, but I want to tell the story real quick about this guy and why I was a million times more excited to shoot this deer than this deer. I mean, my excitement level to shoot this doesn't compare to my excitement level to shoot this, even though this is a buck of a lifetime, and I mean, I always remember this. But this little guy right here, okay, so everybody knows that we used to work at the steel mill, right? So every November since I hired in, I took the second week of November every year, no matter what. I had it, and I remember our long weekends, so I always paired it with the long weekends. So no matter what, I had anywhere between 10 to 20 days off in November. That's when I took my vacation. To Heather's dismay, that's when I was taking vacation. Right, I bow hunted the rut, and this was on the lease behind my house. So I had bow hunted.
And those big deer behind the house.
Oh Lord, yeah. Well, I mean I've shot a lot of big ones there, but this was all the way back in 01. Okay, so
Candlestick kind of started our relationship.
Yeah, Candlestick. That's right. Shot on the same farm. Actually shot.
Isn't that crazy? How?
Yeah.
That's a memory.
Yeah, right. Shot about 60 yards from where I shot this one, actually. Okay. So on that south tree line. So I'm bow hunting, right? I'm bow hunting 10 days straight, morning, evening, midday. A couple times. That was back when I was tough and I could set all day. I don't do that no more. If I if I don't have to. I was actually going to set all day for this guy, and thank goodness I didn't have to. But I bow hunted like 10 straight days. Last day, I'll never forget this, last day of vacation, November the 7th, 2001, okay? So I have a bleak call, right? Ain't seeing nothing. I've had a terrible week of hunting. I've screwed up a couple times, you know. It's 19 and a half years ago. So I get a bleak call out and a grunt call out, and I'm doing my little sequence, and all of a sudden, this guy steps out. I am literally in a tree with a self-climber, and this tree's about this big around. The bottom of my tree stand is about 5 foot off the ground. Like, I had to be on this trail where these deer kept coming out. I mean, it was wore out, you know, it was wore out. And this was back when trail cameras were, you Monsters. Know, that big and 35 millimeter film. I had to go to CVS to get them developed.
And the climber was kind of new thing.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
I remember climbers.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big thing.
That was a huge thing.
Going where you wanted to go.
That's all I used to use was climbers. So I'm sitting there, I'm grunting, using the can or whatever, and all of a sudden, this guy steps out about 20 yards. And I had a little thing, I put my grunt call in my jacket, put my can in my pocket, and I grab my bow, and I'm standing there, and he's walking right at me, and I'm like, holy cow. You know, only thing in my mind back then was I want to fill my tag. I know that if I don't shoot now, I'm going to have a hard time killing a buck in Ohio. So this guy, literally, now guys, check this out. Honest to God truth. This deer walks all the way to me. Now remember, I'm 5 foot off the ground, and I'm standing up. This deer comes up and stood right there smelling my boot. He's like this on the bottom of that climber smelling my boot. And my heart is literally pounding out of my chest. Like, I've never been that excited. I mean, I'm like, I'm like that, like uncontrollably shaking.
You get Nate shakes.
I had a very aggressive case of the Nate shakes, and I mean I was literally doing this, you know, and I mean like the legs were shaking and the deer was smelling my boot. So the deer calmly just turned. Look,
oh, there he is.
we got the look. So the deer just calmly turns and quarters away, and he's looking away from me. I draw my bow and somehow make the shot. And that deer runs out, falls over in sight. And I mean, I'm literally shaking so bad. I'm literally shaking uncontrollably. And I remember running back to the house to tell Heather that I just killed a buck. I remember saying I just killed a good buck. You know, yeah. and what we say as being relative and what we graduate in 2001.
That's the word this year, relative, isn't it?
Yeah, that it is. I've been using it a lot. But that back then, that was a good buck to me, right? Mm-hmm. So that back then, that was a good buck. You know, now to me, this is a good buck. You know, so it's all relative, and that's why this guy right here, I will forever always remember. My dad actually made this plaque for me. You know, 11/7/2001. So over 19 years ago, I shot this guy with my bow.
It says bow on the bottom.
Yeah, and that was right behind the house, and it was just such a good memory that that is always will be burned into my mind. You know, that why I was so. This is one of my favorite deer I've got. I mean, I've told you that several times. This is one of my favorite hunts of all time, and like we said, I've been fortunate, you know, to kill 50 or 60 bucks since then, and it's just really, really incredible, and it's all about where you're at of your hunting, you know, your hunting quote unquote career. Because I believe all of us have a hunting career, whether you do it for a living or not. You all have a hunting career, and that's where I was at that stage in my life. So
and that's what you choose to do,
right? Right. That was my choice to shoot this. Thank God there wasn't social media back then, or I guarantee you they would have been shaming me for shooting this.
Oh yeah.
But I was completely 1,000% satisfied with that deer, with this buck right here, and I felt when I shot this deer, I felt like I was on top of the world, and that's what every single kid or every single new hunter should feel like, or
no our sport, what.
Yeah, or our sport will not be here for our grandkids. It will not be here if we continue to make people feel like they have to shoot this, and this is not okay. we're in a lot of trouble.
You ain't kidding. I mean, it makes me nervous because, like, you know, my daughter wants to shoot whatever, and you know, I'm like, okay, and we're gonna put it on Facebook, but because I want promote pure whitetail.
Oh yeah, right.
We're using pure whitetail, the deer pee, and we're using the sprays. But what are they going to say?
Right.
If my daughter would ever go back or ever get Facebook and see that and see the negativity towards her.
Right. Oh, I know. It would ruin her.
It would ruin her. She'd be like, well, Dad let me down. He let me shoot something small.
Right. I mean, how tickled would she have been to shoot this right here? She would have been.
Let me tell you, we were sitting in that ground blind, and I could hear deer, squirrel. I sound like deer off behind us because, actually, one blew at us or blew. I'd say more likely got behind us and winded us, and her heart. I was sitting.
I remember you telling me this.
It was pounding so hard I could see it.
And that was just by hearing leaves move.
Just by hearing the leaves move. And I was like...
That's what it should be all about.
Addie, you got to calm down just a little bit.
Yeah, right. I
said, if a deer walks, we got to be able to make a shot.
Right.
And then I started thinking, if a deer walks out, I need to let her just see a deer first.
Right.
And let her experience a deer in front of her. I mean, she sees deer every day. She can walk down and pet 40 of them.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
And pet them, lug them, and they lick on her.
300 inches.
300 inches, and she thinks, but it's totally different, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Being in the wild.
Right.
And that deer coming up.
Yep.
And her heart pounding out of her chest.
Yep.
I mean, I still get it.
Right.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
I had deer fever this year in Muley. We were out in Montana.
Oh yeah.
We come up to a coulee, and
the only guy I know to miss 400 inches of antler in the first 2 days of a hunt.
Hold on.
Now wait a minute. Hey,
hold on.
No excuse, bro. You missed 180-inch whitetail the first night and about a 230 muley on the second day.
How low?
Hey, within 24 hours, you missed 400 inches.
Josh Martin. Josh Martin, listen to me here. Listen. I'm gonna defend myself.
Okay.
On at least one.
At least one. Yeah, I will give you the one.
The first night.
Let's tell everybody this story.
After we resighted your rifle, and how low was your rifle?
It was 9 inches low at 200 yards.
And how far was I shooting that first? That first night, how far?
But we got to give everybody a backstory. We have custom rifles that are sighted in dead on at 700 or 800 yards. Both of our rifles are sighted in it. They have
yours 8. Mine. I go to 1,000 on mine.
Okay, mine's at 800. Yours is 1,000, and they're custom made.
Yes.
High-end rifles, so they will make the shot. I don't want people to think you were just launching bombs at 500. No. Our guns will make the shot if we can.
Prior to that, we went to Wyoming. You drilled yours, and I drilled mine.
Right, a long way away. So our rifles, we are confident, but the rifle was off, and it was like 550-yard shot, which is doable with them rifles.
I will say mine was off, too, and after we went back and resighted them in again.
Yeah, they were on.
Because I wanted to kind of work fast tracking here. Yeah. I wanted a mule deer with my muley buck.
Yeah. You wanted a mule deer. So everything happened for a reason. But you did miss a giant that first night, and that was the rifle's fault. I will give you that.
But the second day, I didn't have my rifle.
You had a Best of the West rifle.
And I will tell you 100%, it was buck fever.
Yeah.
And I hope I never lose that buck fever because that
if you did, why would you? Yeah,
it would be boring anymore. Yep. And
if you get to the point where you don't have to calm yourself down, then you might as well quit.
I love it. I mean, that's my. I'm older now. You keep telling me you're getting older. I'm like, yeah, I'll be 36 next month, and I can tell. My I can't go as fast as I used to.
Right.
And I don't have the drive or the adrenaline things I used to do. Like I was, jumping out of airplanes and doing just about anything crazy enough to get adrenaline rush. I hope I never lose buck fever. Right. Because that right there, that adrenaline rush is so amazing.
Yep.
I mean, please never lose that.
Yeah, and just think, and if you, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't get it on deer like I got it with this guy. It's not. I don't get it today. I still get it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't get it like I used to back then. 19 and a half years ago. I think when you shoot so many, but I still get it like on the mountain lion. Me and Logan. I think when you're going after different critters that you've never been after before, I don't want anybody to think that I don't get buck fever anymore, because I do, but it's just not like this, and that's perfect example of graduating. This right here, I was shaking so bad I couldn't. I was scared. My heart was going to explode. So I mean that's where we're graduating to. But how big was the muley that you missed last year?
Over 200 inches.
Way over 200 inches?
Way over 200. I mean,
how far was the shot?
Right at 100 yards, the first shot.
With the Best of the West rifle.
And I was laying in the snow.
Oh, man.
And yeah. And
well, when
I still remember him. He was coming up the coulee, and he was almost to the top. And
Tim was yelling, shoot.
But I remember what you and Terry said. What did you guys always teach me?
Well,
What did you guys... Hold on.
Well, we taught you two different things. The one thing
you never prepared me for this part. You never...
When you get an opportunity, you better pull the trigger. And the other thing that we always told you is 99% of the time when a mule deer is coming up out of the coulee and they get to the top, they'll stop and look back. At least 1 second.
At least 1 second.
Well, this guy did.
I thought I'd had a time that, he was going to stop at the top. But then I learned, if they're that big, they're not stopping.
Mm-mm.
They're just going to keep on running.
Yep.
And guess what he did?
Kept on running.
All I seen was, on YouTube you can see it. He was like this, and he bobbed his head.
Yeah,
he was so big.
And I know Grant's not exaggerating either, because the guy that Grant happened to be hunting with at that time, his name's Tim. And if Tim says you better shoot, it's over 200. Trust me, because he won't even pick his rifle up unless it's 190s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not kidding. He's a Montana resident.
Yeah.
He sees big mule deer all the time, and if it's not a giant, he will not touch his rifle. And for him to be screaming at Grant to shoot, it's a giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, and all them experiences, you've had, now you've graduated, like the big muley you shot this year. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go backwards.
No, but I will. I don't want to go backwards, but I will go backwards if it depends on the hunt.
It depends on the hunt.
I mean,
well, and I get what you're saying. If it's the last day, you're walking in 5 to 10 miles one way, and I get that.
Yeah, but
because that's what
to say we're me and Terry Severson. If I don't go back to where we came from again this year,
we're going. Trust me, I promise. We're going back there.
I won't have promise, but I'm just saying, if I don't go back to that area where I was at, I know what to expect. But where we went, unknown locations, I'll tell you right now, you better wait.
You're holding off.
You have to hold off.
And that's what, just like you said about packing in, like it's been like 4 years now, but I hunted with a good friend of Terry's. He actually works for Terry. His name is Brady. And I hunted with him, and I promise you right now, that I don't remember what the buck's rack looked like, but it was the one that I shot like 3 or 4 miles in, and we had to quarter and pack out.
I remember that.
I literally do not remember.
From the video, I remember him getting up, shaking off.
Yeah.
I remember that piece, and I remember you with his rack on your back.
Walking up.
That's all I remember.
I do not remember. It was a big deer. It was a 160 class deer, but I don't remember what the rack looked like. But the one thing I do remember is when we got down to him, Tim was there. Mm-hmm. Tim wasn't there when I shot.
You used the Best of West.
Yeah, I used the Best of the West rifle, and man, that rifle was ridiculous. And I used the Best of the West rifle, made at the time my longest shot that I've ever made. And I remember being with Brady, and I remember being so cold that my hands, I could not feel my fingers. Of course, that doesn't have to be that cold.
Soft.
But I take heart pills that, like right now, my hands are literally like ice cold.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, like here, Phil. They're ice cold because it's a reaction to the medicine I have to take. But I remember setting up on top of that ridge, watching that deer bedded. He was bedded with like 10 or 11 does, and we waited over an hour for the deer to stand up. And that's what I remember about that hunt. I remember about quartering up, laughing, having a good time, and that hike back out. And they were like, "Well, you're the oldest one here. We're going to carry this deer out for you." And I was like, I'm carrying that deer out, strap it on my backpack, and we carried it out like 3 or 4 miles. I can't remember, but it was a long way. I know that, but that's what I remember. I remember it was a big deer. I don't remember what the deer actually looked like. I don't even know if I could pick it out on the wall which one it actually was. I don't think I could, but that's what I remember. So I think the moral of our story here is concentrate on the memories. If you've graduated, to this, by all means. Heck yeah, I'm super tickled for you. But if you're still shooting this, I'm still super tickled for you. It don't matter. I'm going to hit like, and I'm going to say awesome job, congratulations. Whether you shoot this or whether you shoot this, it doesn't matter.
Thanks for the product picture.
That's right. Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, that's what I'm.
And hopefully you shoot it with pure whitetail product. Yeah, absolutely.
And I say, kids, I don't care if you're 50 years old and this is your first year hunting and you shoot a small deer.
Right.
Or, something like this. I hate calling it small. You shoot your first deer.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you finally got in the woods and you get to experience what me and Josh and all the other hunters get to experience.
Yeah.
And do not listen to...
Don't listen to the haters.
What's our good buddy, Chris Rager? The cowboy.
Oh, keyboard cowboys.
Keyboard cowboys. Don't listen to them. That's their new names.
Yeah, keyboard cowboys.
Keyboard cowboys.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Keep it going, because you know what? You just fuel my fire.
That's right. Yeah, and that. But be happy with what you shoot. What makes you happy, and don't apologize for it.
No,
don't say, apologize.
Well, that's all I got to say. This is what I've got today, and I'm proud of it.
I'm tickled to death.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I'm going to congratulate you. Josh is going to congratulate you.
Everybody.
And we're going to be happy for you.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And
as long as you're happy, I'm tickled to death for you.
It kind of goes back to our field staff.
Yeah.
No one on our field staff ever badmouth somebody for shooting whatever they shot.
Oh, no. Because if they do, they're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, we don't put up with that.
We don't put up with it.
No.
No matter what age or we beginner, I'd rather take a new hunter than a age hunter. Nothing against you that wants to try to kill this every day long.
Yeah.
I'd rather take a new guy that's looking for his first time kill.
Right, yeah.
I want you.
Yeah.
You're my man, or not really my girl, but
yeah. Right, yeah, we get what you're saying.
You're part of the family.
Yeah, right.
And I'm happy for you. Yep. That's all I care about.
Yep.
Put meat in the freezer.
Yep. And I think and I like hunting, I like hunting with the new guys, but I like hunting with the older guys like our friend, like Eldon in Iowa or Terry in Montana, because they've been there and done that.
Yeah.
They're already to the next level, and they give different perspectives on that. I like learning from them. And
you walk in Terry's barn, how many of these are on his
barn? There's a bunch.
I mean, he calls them honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mention, that's right.
Because of the monsters he's killed, because, there's
a lot of them.
He's had great luck for his years of hunting.
Yeah.
Are fully mounted and in his office.
Right. Yeah. And giants.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. But hunting with different people gives you that perspective too. But whether you shoot, like we said, whether you're for this or for this, we're going to be happy for you. Shoot what makes you happy, and don't. We just hope the industry can survive this onslaught. And it seems to me, because we see it a lot, it seems to me that it's being more prevalent of people downing people. Like if you're a manager and you're growing, you're only shooting 180s, hey man, I'm tickled to death for you. But don't, the thing that bothers me is when people shoot this.
If you're on public land and you shoot this, or even on your own property or management and you shoot this.
Yeah. And you're happy.
You're happy. I'm happy.
Don't apologize for it.
Do never apologize for it.
Yep.
I'm tired of seeing you apologize. Be happy about it.
Yep. So, guys, that's about all we got for this week's episode. We just wanted to kind of tell you how we feel about some certain things, and this is kind of like I feel like this is kind of like our first real episode of what the Pure Whitetail Podcast is going to be about. The first two were kind of like introducing about ourselves and talking about Pure Whitetail and stuff. This is what we're going to be tackling. We're going to tackle some controversial subjects, and we're just going to keep right on rolling. And we appreciate the very, very quick start to the Pure Whitetail Podcast. We're on almost every single outlet that can be on. Nate, would you like to tell everybody where they can find the Pure Whitetail Podcast as of right this moment?
The whole list, if you go to purewhitetail.com/podcast, you will find the whole list. We're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, Podbean. You can actually listen to the podcast and watch the videos directly from our website. You don't have to download anything.
Nice.
But if you're already listening to podcasts on various services, we are trying to hit them all. We need 2 more, Pandora and iHeartRadio, and we got them all.
So anywhere they're listening to podcasts, they just type in, basically they just search for Pure Whitetail.
Pure Whitetail, follow us, like us, comment, do whatever. And if you like a video, the video aspect of it, hit us up on YouTube. Watch the videos there. Every week, this podcast will be up on video too. So, just for those people who don't like to download, So
perfect.
We're hitting everything. We're hitting everything hard.
Awesome, and that is all the work of Nate Dollar. So, Nate, thank you very much for all the hard work of getting the Pure Whitetail Podcast out there.
He takes a lot.
He does. He takes a lot of heat.
You know, you say you get picked at all the time, but he takes a lot of heat.
I get picked on all the time.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. That just means people like you.
I appreciate it, Nate.
Thanks, Hunter. So is this going to be just part 1 of Judgment Day? We didn't take any calls, and I have people that want to call in. Do you want to take a quick break and go part 2 Judgment Day?
Well, we can do that.
We can do that.
Yeah.
All right.
So hit us back up on, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for part 2 of what we're calling Judgment Day.